And I want to ask to please join me in honoring Richard Tejeda of Saved by Nature as Bay Nature's 2022 Community Hero for his work to make that solution accessible to everyone.
Bravo!
I promised I wouldn't cry. Annette, I just wanted to thank you and say that on April 5th and April 12th and April 26th, we'll be taking Boys and Girls Clubs to El Puerto Madero, Skyline, and Bear Creek. Thank you so much for making that possible for us. We draw our strength from the very despair in which we have been forced to live. We shall endure. Cesar Chavez.
Bravo!
It was my life's journey that led to the creation of Saved by Nature. My mother was 16 when she had my brother in Gilroy, California. I was born 3 years later in a Hispanic community of Corpus Christi, Texas, hometown to the Tejano music queen, Selena. My mother met my father, who was from Texas, while working seasonally in the fields of Gilroy. Soon after I was born, my mother fled Texas with my brother and I from an abusive relationship. We were raised in an ethnically diverse, low-income community of South San Jose. My mother didn't have a chance to graduate from high school, so we had very little money. We were on welfare. I remember taking the bus a lot and eating government cheese, if you will. I do have countless good memories as a youth, like the Boys and Girls Club, but overall growing up wasn't easy. I was surrounded by a culture of gangs and drugs, which included my own family. I soon became a victim of historical injustices that would end up losing many years of my freedom to a revolving door system. Nature saved my life. I was supposed to be a statistic, but I couldn't let that happen. I had to reinvent myself, and nature was a positive escape from the everyday negativity of my neighborhood. When out in nature, I felt that I was in a whole new world, a place where I could escape the gangs and drugs. What really hit me was the sort of trance I would enter, especially when fishing along rivers and creeks. It must be the sound of the river and the water that drowns out the negative thoughts, because I wasn't thinking of my painful past. I was present in the now. And for me, that's something that's rare because my mind is always running. I wanted to share this life-changing experience with others, but I didn't know how. I was still finding my own way. It wasn't until I enrolled in the West Valley College Park Management Program that I began thinking of creating an organization that would help people like myself by introducing them to nature. I would daydream in class of little homeboys frolicking through the redwood forest. Eventually, though, I decided I wanted to be a full-time park interpreter to support my family, and because it felt safer than starting my own nonprofit. While enrolled at West Valley, I landed my first job at Big Basin Redwood State Park.
Yeah.
As a park aide, I worked at the ranger station checking in campers and selling wood. It was a wonderful experience. I would then take on positions with Guadalupe River Park Conservancy as an environmental educator, Santa Clara County Parks as seasonal park maintenance worker, and Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority as a seasonal interpreter. To be more competitive, though, I enrolled in the Environmental Studies program at San Jose State University and took an internship with Valley Water in the educational department. When the pandemic began, I was working with California State Parks as a seasonal park interpreter and came to a crossroad. Would I continue to chase the dream of becoming a full-time park interpreter, or take the leap of faith and start a nonprofit organization? The inspiration behind my decision would come from knowing that only 1 to 1.2% of African Americans and 3.8 to 6.7% of Latinx populations visit our public lands. And so, Saved by Nature is a direct response and solution to address a need for more people of color to visit and work in our parks, preserves, and forests, a need for multilingual materials and culturally relevant programming, as well as a need to increase allyship by people who do not identify as Black, Indigenous people of color. And as Cesar Chavez said, To make a great dream come true, the first requirement is a great capacity to dream. The second is persistence. And let me tell you from experience that dreaming is the easy part. Persistence, dedication, and discipline is the hard part. From a seed, with the support of the community, we are growing an organization together. Our mission is to expose and connect people of all backgrounds and ethnicities and abilities to the natural wonders and recreational opportunities of the outdoors. An organization that collaborates with partners to ensure mental, physical, and spiritual healing in nature. And since April of 2019, we have taken 1,847 community members on guided educational hikes, provided virtual nature experiences for 3,563 people living with disability and residents isolated by the pandemic, led 326 seniors on hikes for health, and served 754 at Promise Youth through our Summer Science Project in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club, and our Alive Outside Adventure Series in partnership with Youth Alliance. Free programs and transportation, food, equipment, and guidance are provided with orientation and preparation hikes. Our goals are to increase youth confidence and sense of belonging before experience a 2-day, 1-night backpacking trip at a state park or preserve. Through our innovative and culturally relevant programs, many participants have seen the ocean, explored natural areas, camped, and considered a job in the outdoors field for the very first time. Removing barriers, creating change, and connecting communities is not easy work. It's going to take all of you. Doctors, elected officials, educators, construction and food workers to create change. I invite you to take the first step with Saved by Nature April 10th at Alum Rock Park for our volunteer intake. Be a part of providing life-changing nature experience in a movement that removes barriers to accessing nature in public lands. I'd like to thank my wife, Tanya Rodriguez Tejeda, Sean Reddy, and our members, donors, and volunteers who I could not do this without. Jose Gonzalez from Latino Outdoors, Lillian Silva from Youth Alliance, Fred McCoskin from Boys and Girls Club, Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority, Peninsula Open Space Trust, Mid-Peninsula Region Open Space District, REI, National Recreation Fund, Save the Redwood Leagues, and of course, Bay Nature. Have a good one, y'all.